What's up, nerds? It's Havoc. I've got another video for you guys here today on Angoville. This is my first video since the Company Heroes 3 2.0 anniversary patch dropped.
Pioneers are reporting for duty.
I was working on another one, and then unfortunately it got patched out, so I lost access to it. But I've been streaming a lot. Catch me on Twitch.
Pioneers
and YouTube.
standing by.
I've been streaming a lot and been playing a lot of games, trying to narrow down like what are the optimal strategies for each of these new battle groups. And in this one, I am playing the Wehrmacht Terror Battlegroup against PAX, who is going to play, I believe he's going to, yeah, he is. He's playing heavy weapons. So we're gonna break down a couple of things. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about this map. We're going to talk about my strategy here, my opening strategy, how it differs from the other battle groups. And so with that, I'm going to stop yapping about not the game and talk about the game. So, starting with a 3-pile opener, the reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to preface by saying I'm sorry to those of you that have to suffer at the hands of people that are watching my YouTube videos. Machine gun camouflage is probably one of the more broken 0 CP abilities I've ever seen. And this game is going to showcase how. I actually didn't get it early. I didn't get it like right away. I got it late. But I'm going to talk about why and how it's too powerful. So the cloak functions like a sniper cloak or an elite cloak in that you can move from cover position to cover position. I'll try to highlight a couple moments where I do that in this game. And that makes it incredibly difficult to catch these out in the open. Because as long as you're moving between cover, your opponent actually doesn't know where they are, so they can't position to flank, they can't position to get around. You can see here he actually just popped up with one of his scouts that I missed. And I'm setting up to cover the fuel point. Talking quickly about the opener, the reason why we're going 3 piles is because I've been experimenting with this build where we're bypassing grenadiers because the machine guns are so strong. And we're going to go for tier 3, which synergizes amazingly with Contempt for the Weak. And I'll talk about that when we get there. But the piles are going to give us early map control. They're also going to provide great spotting and vision for the machine guns so that we can use them optimally and make sure that they're properly positioned. As I can see, he's kind of collapsing here on the right-hand side. I jumped out of the building. I'm taking the flamethrower right now so I can make sure that I can keep these buildings clear if he decides to push in. And in the meantime, I'm pretty content to have captured this +10 for the first minute and a half. And now I'm holding the left side +10 and just trying to capture up the points. You can see right now I've already got my Panzer Grenadier Company going up. I mentioned that I'm trying to bypass Grenadiers. This is just an experiment, but I think it's a pretty highly manpower efficient build. I actually canceled my, sorry, I want to cancel my flamer and went for the sweeper because I heard him plant a mine over here in the fog. You can hear mines in the fog, for those of you that don't know. This is also a very famous cutoff, especially for Angoville, and wiring this is pretty integral to making sure you can defend the point. I'm bringing the Pioneers over here. These Pioneers are backing up to defend the machine gun. I want to stay out of the engagement with the Rifleman and stay near my machine gun, because the machine gun is my source of firepower in these engagements. Pioneer's holding the capture on the point, so he's not disconnecting my fuel. I can see him moving over and starting to connect or disconnect my +10. Again, I'm trying to keep my Pioneer at a distance until I can get my machine gun in position to defend. I also saw another Rifleman pop up here, which I'm trying to be aware of. As the machine gun's getting the burst in, I'm going to go in and deny, Pioneers again spotting out the Rifleman to prevent the flank. I've got the second machine gun here in support as well. And now I think around this moment I've realized that I didn't actually grab the machine gun camouflage, which is super powerful. The damage and accuracy that this gives just make these things ridiculously strong, difficult to catch out, difficult to kill, and they vet up so much faster. So this game we're also going to go for Contempt for the Weak, which I'll talk about shortly, and why it's so good with Panzer Grenadiers specifically. You can see he's catching out my machine gun here. I'm drawing him away from the fuel while the Panzer Grenadier comes in behind and closes the gap on the rifleman. Machine gun here covering the right-hand side, denying the rifleman decapture. You see, there we go, another Panzer Grenadier coming in. Now I finally got the ambush camouflage. If I had got this earlier, this early game would be even more difficult for PAX. But yeah, Pioneers here providing great map control. And essentially how you want to be using these machine guns is your Pioneers are hovering around them and you're darting from cover to cover, looking to be aggressive with them, because unlike other machine guns, you can't be spotted out unless your opponent sees you moving in the open or uses a flare to reveal you. And if you're moving from cover to cover position, even though scouts have like the extra range, as long as you're keeping the cloak up, they're never going to know where exactly you are. So this provides lots of windows of opportunity to be aggressive with the machine gun where you might otherwise not be. And it also allows you to really lock down areas on the outskirts of the map, because once you've ambushed a squad in the open, and say, you know, I've ambushed some riflemen here, they take a whole bunch of damage, they retreat, because if they don't, they'll die. Then the next time he comes, I'm going to go and find a different cover position. He's going to try to approach me from a different angle. You know, maybe if I'm positioned here, then he's going to, next time he brings the rifleman back, maybe he's going to try to come around this way. But if I like back up and have the machine gun face this way, then I'm going to get him again. And it just happens over and over and over and over again. There's no counter to it at the moment. What I would like to see, this is kind of a side note, not to do with the game, but like the balance perspective, what I would like to see is have the cloak not active while the machine gun is packed up. I think that would be really fair, because then it would be a lot easier to catch them out. You couldn't be as aggressive with them. You'd still get the benefits of an ambush bonus, and then maybe consider locking it behind some sort of munitions cost. I think would be fair as well. But yeah, these things are just like ridiculously oppressive right now. So I'm doing a little trick here where I'm actually going to plant a mine before getting on the capture point for the +10 fuel. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm anticipating that he's going to come in here with a secondary squad to try to deny the capture. In so doing, he's going to hit the mine. That's going to allow me to move the machine gun in to support the Pioneer. I'm allowed to get the capture, and I'm probably going to force away whatever unit's going to come straight at me from here. So I got 2 Panzer Grenadiers now. From PAX. I mean, I know my fuel control on him has been pretty good.
Interrogate the enemy as required.
Oh, I actually went for interrogate this game. That's right. Okay.
We are losing control of the sector.
I went for interrogate. I've been experimenting with both. I think Contempt for the Weak is much better when you're playing Panzer Grenadiers. I think interrogate is excellent when you are going for tier 2 and going for Jaegers. But I think Contempt for the Weak is better for Panzer Grenadiers because, as you can see, they get an additional 20% fire rate when an enemy unit retreats within a range of 18. 18 range is about the size of a large territory point. Yo, I actually just noticed that these territory points are smaller than other ones. What the fuck? These are so small. This is a normal territory point. These are smaller, dude. What? Anyway, 18 range is about this distance. It's about half the effective in infantry engagement range. So you can see like this distance, this is about 35. This is the max range that infantry can engage at. 18 is about the halfway point. So because PGs are always trying to close the gap, anytime that you're able to force your opponent to retreat, you're getting the fire rate, and more importantly, you're getting the 33% capture and decapture speed for 15 seconds. And why this is so good on Panzer Grenadiers is because these guys have a 1.5 capture multiplier already. So you stack the Contempt for the Weak on top of that, you're just like forcing squads off and vacuuming up the map all over the place. And so I think with this passive, this really puts PGs in a strong position for this patch so far. PGs did also get a small buff to their rate of fire. I don't exactly think it's what they needed, but it seems to be serving the purpose, at least for all intents and purposes, of this battle group for now. Yeah. Something else I want to call out about Interrogate. So it provides experience. Oh, that was a nice mine by PAX. It provides experience. It reveals enemy troops within 230 range, and it denies the crawlers, or these guys would otherwise be picked up by the medics of a medical bunker. But because of the interrogate mechanic, it actually denies these. So you're actually having an economic impact on your opponent, especially as USF.
Isolated. We have been cut off.
See, the mine's in position. Machine gun is just going to stay here in cloak. PAX did actually a very good job of flaring it up. You'll notice here, actually, Interrogate saved me. I noticed that he was moving a unit towards the cutoff point here. And because of Interrogate, I was actually able to respond. And I'm going to be able to deny this decapture as a result. Now that I see that he's flared me, I'm going to back away here. Oh, maybe not, actually. I'm going in to support my pioneers. Sorry. Dodging the grenade. He's hiding behind the point. I'm setting up the machine gun to cover his exit point. And I'm going to fight him with the pioneers, because 2 pioneers will generally beat riflemen at Vet 0 at this range. He's doing a good job of pressuring my cutoff again from the house. I'm just getting into the omnidirectional cover crater here.
Sector overrun.
Pioneers swinging over. Probably going to go for a flamethrower on this so I can make sure those buildings stay clear. Good engagement for him. I actually didn't catch that he's on my retreat path now, so I'm probably going to lose this pioneer. But we went through pioneer start. Not the worst thing in the world.
Interrogation underway.
I think I'm going to take control of this building. PGs are going to come in. Yep, machine gun covering the decapture on this +10 fuel. Again, right now I'm just getting my healing bunker up too. I should probably get like a 3rd PG or a pack. I think I'm a little bit indecisive at this point because I don't know what to expect from him. I think we end up going for a 3rd PG and then maybe officer quarters. I personally would recommend 2 PGs. If I were to do this build again, I actually would get 1 Gren for merge purposes and Faust. But otherwise, I kind of like this 2 PG build into officer quarters. It's something I was doing pretty consistently pre 1.8. But then they did the veterancy rework and PGs got significantly nerfed by that. So I stopped using them for a while. Putting a mine down by the +16 so I can see if he's going to be... Now, I want to call out also here, I see a lot of people planting mines in the territory point. The reason why it's better to plant it outside the territory point is because you're buying yourself more time. So, like, if I'm bringing a rifleman up here, right, to decapture this +16, I know he's going to walk through here, right? It's very unlikely that he's going to walk all the way around. This is the default path to the +16. He's going to hit this mine on the way to the +16. Because that suppresses him and now he's crawling, that actually buys me extra time to come and defend this point before he starts the decapture, right? Because if I put the mine on the point, he's already going to be decapturing it even though he's like suppressed, right? But if I put the mine here and I'm like fighting over here or whatever, and then I notice that my mine goes off, now I can respond and probably deny the decapture before he's able to complete it in this case. Getting really greedy here, trying to protect my cutoff. Unfortunately, had to reload the machine gun while I was setting it up to defend this territory point. That cost me my pioneer. PG's not looking super healthy against this bar rifleman scout combo, so I'm going to pull that out. Lost another pioneer. Not great work for me. Very sloppy, honestly. Very sloppy play for me this game. There we go. We can see the mine. I'm just dancing around the mine, playing very defensively. Machine gun in the house, I'm going to pull it out. PG's going to brute force the way back into the cutoff here. And I'm thinking about, like, I can always go tier 3. Stug got some significant buffs this last patch. It's got a penetration buff that's pretty substantial. And all of the pintle mount machine guns also got buffed. So the Stug is benefiting from that as well.
Headquarters has an
I spotted out his machine gun here with my pioneer, so I'm just flanking in from the left-hand side. As soon as PAX is really smart here, really good discipline on his part. Rather than packing it up, he's actually keeping it facing this way, so that he knows that his engineer is going to be able to beat my pioneer before I'm able to significantly damage or force his machine gun to retreat. So as a result, I'm going to be forced to retreat through the arc of his machine gun. Might actually lose the Pioneer here, I'm not sure. It's gonna be very dangerous. PG coming over here, he's really committed to trying to kill that Pioneer, but doesn't quite get it. And as a result, he actually forgets about his scout.
Initializing interrogation.
And we're able to pick up that kill on the PG.
The enemy has revealed their secrets.
Also want to call out here, guys, Interrogate XP is multiplied along with Officer Quarters. So Officer Quarters gives an extra 25% veterancy gain. That is also going to go into the Interrogate, which instead of giving me 230 experience, that's going to give me what? What is that? Another
Infantry shall hold our territory at all costs.
57 XP, which is pretty nice. That's like half of a rifleman model. So again, Interrogate, the reason why this is better on your Jaegers is because you're going to drop more models, the intel is valuable, and you're just not going to get the benefits of Contempt for the Weak as often with Jaegers because you're going to be fighting more at longer range. That's what you prefer. And Contempt for the Weak, much better for PGs. Hell, even Pioneers, Pioneers benefit from Contempt for the Weak as well.
The enemy holds all victory
Just waiting
points.
for the decap here. Gonna recapture the victory point, and
Territory
then
lost.
I'm waiting so that I can bring my PGs in together and fight him 2-on-1 rather than 1 at a time. Bringing out the 251 here, upgrading to Stumble so I can contend with these things. The 50 cals. 50 cal super strong machine gun right now. Does a lot of damage to infantry, great suppression.
We have territory cut off from supply.
Overall, just an improvement to the American 30 cal. We got our machine gun, our Pioneer defending the cutoff point here, I should say. I'm trying to focus on his rifleman, see if I can finish that off, but he ducks actually down the road. He's able to get away safely. Again, I've talked about this principle before. When you're engaging with squads, always lead and push with the healthiest squad first. Use the second squad in cover, and then bring them into support within each of your engagements. So that way you're going to minimize the actual manpower bleed that you have to deal with, and you're utilizing the health pool of your units. Trying to focus on getting this 50 cal out of here with the Stumble. By the way, some new audio, which is great. It's no longer destroys my
Pioneers
ears
are reporting for duty.
when I use it, which I'm happy about. Spot out some mines here with the Pioneer. I'm planting my own on the retreat path from my cutoff, as well as the road entrance. Ooh, almost lose the Stumble to the Bazooka squad there.
The enemy
Again,
have
I'm just
taken
going
our
to continue
territory.
to spread out. One thing I want to call out, Angoville is a very unique map. For those of you that aren't from the first installment of the franchise, this is a Company Heroes 1 original map. You can see the resources are very concentrated in this area and this area here. Generally, how the map plays is you will have one player focused on one side, the other player focused on the other side. If it ever gets to the point where one player controls both sides, the game is pretty much out of control. Another 50 cal here for PAX. Honestly, it's a great choice for him against the Panzer
The
Grenadiers.
enemy has cut us off.
I was
We
just
have
finishing the
territory out
decap
of
there with the
supply.
Pioneers before
Territory
retreating, and I
sector
managed to
lost.
cut off all these territory points, even though he's got
Infantry company taking
I'm
damage.
going for a mortar now. Now, I didn't say that, I don't really like these at the moment. I didn't like them last patch because the damage resistance on the machine guns is just so strong. But I'm realizing that the Stumble just isn't going to cut it against these 50 cals. And I'll also be able to use the smoke from the mortar. And it's also going to be a consistent source of damage. So that, add in how much manpower I'm already floating, I'm thinking that's probably going to be the best choice for me. We're going to help out with this engagement here. You can hear his mortar firing in the distance. PG and machine gun are closing in on the victory point together. You can see
Victory point is under enemy
I'm
control.
waiting. Okay, so here I have two options, right? I can push in with both, or what I end up doing is I'm backtracking. I'm waiting for my machine gun camo to proc. Or maybe I'm revealed. I don't know. waiting for my camo to proc, and then I'm gonna push in with the ambush bonus.
Weapon team ready.
You can see like my stumble.
We do not hold
It's not
any
really
victory
doing a lot.
points. We must counterattack.
There we go. Machine gun. Oh, PAX does a great job spawning it out with the mortar. He uses the smoke, forces it away with the grenade. Thankfully, the smoke actually covers my retreat. I actually eat a snare from the rifleman that came around the corner here, trying to protect it with my pioneer and the mortar. I'm actually launching smoke on the retreat path with my stumble because I can see his bazooka squad coming up. PG's coming in to protect as well. Ended up forcing off his rifleman from this side. Gonna swing across with these PGs as well.
The adversary is trying to take one of our points.
I'm putting on hold fire because I'm hoping that he won't get enough vision to be able to see me. But he does end up getting that shot off before being forced away. Oh, lots of very low health loss. I don't want to keep bleeding, so I'm pulling away with PGs. The other thing I want to call out, I've noticed with PGs, they are a super manpower efficient unit because the models individually are so beefy that it's actually very possible to keep from bleeding a lot of them and just have them mostly taking health damage. You can see from the KD, it's kind of leaning in my favor as a result of not bleeding a whole ton of manpower and just taking a lot of health damage on the PGs. Gonna get a good flank here because we spotted out his 50 cal. I'm actually noticing he's not responding, so I'm swinging back to the shortest route. PGs are going to swing over here with the machine guns to cover the fuel. First I'm forcing that away. Put the mortar on the point here, bringing the machine gun up. And yeah, PGs and machine guns together. Very, very strong combination of units because these guys can effectively protect the machine gun. Machine gun provide the long-range base of fire to allow you to close the gap safely with the PGs.
Our territory is exposed. We must re-establish
I've got the bet one, so I'm pretty happy to just gap close on him and fight him with the PGs. And my second PG in. Machine gun here creeping up. Might be able to kill this regiment. Mortar forced away, good flank here from PAX. I actually saw him, so I managed to rotate the machine gun. I'm getting the burst off, and then...
The enemy has revealed their secrets. The enemy
taking
has
advantage
claimed
of
our
interrogate
territory
every
for their
chance I
own.
get. I'm going to retreat this too, it's very low. Yep, there we go. But we still we have really solid fuel control. And I've gone for tier 4, or going for tier 4 at this point. Yeah, tier 4 is up. Seeing a lot of infantry from my opponent. No vehicles yet still. I know his fuel control has been pretty abysmal. Here's another example of... I just had this thing parked in a bush, and as soon as I saw him, I was able to set up fire. He had no idea I was here, and so if he doesn't retreat, he just takes even more damage. So I'm going to go for a Brumbar here, because I know that his fuel income has been very low. I know that he's heavily invested in his infantry force via the riflemen and the bazooka squad. Actually, let's just check here to see if he went for infantry. Oh, he actually went for mechanized support center. Kudos to PAX.
Territory point is no longer under our control.
So I'm going to go for the Brumbar, and then I'm probably going to back it up with a pack, just in case. He's probably going to end up with tier 4 relatively soon, but I know that I'm still well ahead of him in terms of fuel. Let's see exactly here, actually, where we are. Oh, never mind. Wow, we're actually quite close in fuel. I think because he went weapon support center, maybe, he's quite a bit further behind.
Bomb is fueled and ready for target.
Good smoke here from his mortar. Brumbar's on the field now. Now I'm going to start being able to like smash and bully out his infantry and bring in the PGs as the stronger units to try to get behind these machine guns. Good retreat there from PAX. He saw me coming in from the side, going to hit him with a grenade. Big first hit from the Brumbar. crash through this and try to see if I can pick up the rifleman, but I missed microed a little bit and swung the Brumbar out a little bit too wide. Again, fuel income very healthy. I'm going to think about a pack, and then I'm going to go for a P4 pretty soon. Again, I know that his fuel income is pretty abysmal, so I'm perfectly comfortable not having an AT weapon at this point. I think I said previously that, like, I don't typically like to proactively build AT weapons. Part of this is unique knowledge to PAX. I know that PAX isn't like a super heavy vehicle focused player, so that's part of the reason I don't have a pack at this point. If I was playing somebody that I know is like hyper aggressive with vehicles, like Reekley or Inca Una or Ray, like I'm probably gonna get a pack earlier. But just because I know it's PAX in this case, that knowledge is kind of serving me in not getting an AT gun earlier. But you can see I've got one queued up right now along with a Sauce-Strupen. And then probably going to go for officer quarters and then a P4. Super good map control here. Staying in the cover positions, crater cover positions, we always love those. Taking some good health damage on the PG here, so I'm just going to retreat that. Get forced away here at all these squads. And force my way back in with the Brumbar. Sauce is going to be a great long-range addition to my Enforcer. It's also going to allow me to punch my way through these 50 cals because of the Stoss Vet 1 ability. So that's something that I was thinking about too when I was building this. So PAX has some Sherman in production now, finally. Thankfully, because of our fuel control, we'll end up with a second vehicle pretty close to the... And so I think I mentioned earlier, you know, if I were to do this again, I'd probably go 2 PGs and 1 Grenadier, just so I can merge them in, and just be a little bit more efficient from a manpower perspective with my units. Trying to get some cheeky mines down.
Headquarters has an officer.
I would have planted this a little bit further, but I saw the rifleman here. I didn't want to draw too much attention. Oh, I actually didn't finish that mine. That's a mismark. PG closing in with the Brumbar. PAX coming in to support. Got that Vet 1 available there as well. Again, very happy to just walk in on them because I got the Brumbar coming. And now I'm floating a lot of munitions, so I'm also thinking about planting mines. Because mines, because I don't have snares, I really need to depend on mines to protect me from big pushes from vehicles or infantry from mines. So I gotta be more active about setting mines now. Managed to get a good flank here on the machine gun position in the building. Tried to get some nice bundle grenades on him at the doors, but he retreats just in time to get away from them. Back here, protecting the Brumbar. Good suppression from the 50. There's the 50 cal working its magic.
The enemy have taken our
Putting
territory.
both these squads in the dirt pretty quickly. Brumbar coming in to support. I'm going to start moving this thing around in cloak right now because I don't want him to know where it is, but I want to keep it near the Brumbar at all times. I've got my officer quarters up for my tier 4. Just going to get my Sauce-Strupen in there, Vet 1. And is allowing me to force my way into these 50 cals. Actually, maybe I should pick this one up. Right now, I'm trying to finish off the 50 cals, but I don't quite do it. Unfortunately, I actually caught out of position here. I tried to bring it forward to attack the 50 cal, but it moved too far because he recruited it while I was walking in. And PAX sees the opportunity here. He smells blood. He's forcing his way in. I have nothing here but the PAX support. He's actually just skirting my mines, like very, very close to my mines. But for that reason, it's also all the more urgent for me to get a P4 as soon as possible.
The enemy has claimed our sector.
Protection source for my Brumbar from his tanks. Sauce-Strupen in, coming in here to protect the top. Again, I'm thinking about P4 next. I'm still a little bit away from the KT. Actually, I'm very close. Never mind. I think I waffled a little bit on whether or not to build the P4. But I think I ended up committing to it. If I were to do this over again, I probably would have just gone straight for the KT at this point. You can pretty safely go for like 1 or 2 tier 4 tanks, and then you'll have access to the
Coming up,
KT.
you have
If
CPs
you're
available.
beelining your way down this tree, you could also, and I'll talk about these closer to the end of the game, these 2 abilities, and what I feel like is the optimal path. So PG's protecting this plus 16 here. A lot of munitions on this map. You can see my
Contempt here,
munitions
reporting
income is
in.
quite high. We exchange grenades.
Initializing interrogation.
Get my first PG to Vet 3, which is great.
Alarm. Sector
Vet
overrun.
PGs at Vet 3, they really start cooking because they get some crazy accuracy, 33% accuracy, bundle grenade cost reduction, and extra health. So they become absolute terminators at Vet 3. P4's on the field, pretty close to pop cap. Oh, right. Sorry, I'll pause here. The reason why I didn't go KT is because I was pop capped. The KT is, I believe, 24 or 26 pop cap, and I only had, I think, like 20 available at the time. So P4 was the only thing that I would have been able to fit in. By the way, huge fan of the new P4 Vet 1. I'll talk about that a little bit as well. I got my pack in here, backing up the P4. Honestly, I probably could have committed and killed this Sherman. That's okay. Machine guns here, locking down the left side with the cloak. Brumbar coming in from the side. I actually tried to lob a round over to this point, but ended up colliding with the building here. Pushing in here with the PGs, dealing extra damage with the mortar. Again, you know, denying. Again, this is super difficult for me to deal with this. Constantly being in cloak. Only way to identify them is just to catch them with a flare. And if I'm playing responsively as a player, like, I'm gonna be able to just back away from the flare, wait till it subsides, and then pick my ambush position and continue to protect. Frontal armor at Vet 3 and rate of fire. Back, scoping very
Our
wide
Stuka
here.
shall break their resolve.
I'm recognizing it on PopCap, so now I'm starting to make my way down the left tree instead. Really quickly. So, just to chat about these 2 abilities. This Propaganda Leaflet Drop, generally probably better for a heavy team weapon composition, and frankly just in team games I think this is much better. It forces your opponent to move from an area, and if they don't, it forces a retreat, and then it lingers, which a lot of people don't realize. The leaflets linger, which means if your opponent re-enters that area, they still can be forced to retreat. And this could be massively valuable because it also affects team weapons like AT guns. AT guns can be forced back to base, so if you get like a good visibility, maybe your opponent's pushing at you with a couple of tanks, backed up by a couple AT guns, using this on top of the AT guns and forcing them to retreat is going to isolate the tank and give you an opportunity to capitalize and potentially kill it while the AT guns are forced to retreat. So I really like this ability in team games and in heavy team weapon composition. You can see PAX here, he doesn't really have that. He doesn't have AT guns. He's got 50 cals, which, yeah, they're team weapons, but they're also pretty nimble. So I'm actually going for the Jericho Trumpet because this is going to allow me to force and win infantry engagements, especially against his riflemen. It's going to make it easier for my PGs to close the gap because we've reduced his speed and, again, more overwhelmingly win those engagements because of the accuracy debuff as well. So that's why I'm opting for the Jericho Trumpet in this case. Again, I think this is more aligned to playing with PGs. And most likely, because you're going to be lacking indirect fire, especially if you're playing tier 2, I actually think like optimal path, if you're playing T3 with Panzer Grenadiers, Contempt for the Weak, Jericho Trumpet into V1. And if you're playing tier 2, I would actually do the opposite, where you're going Interrogate, Propaganda Leaflet Drop into V1. On the right hand side, again, I talked about these machine gun camos. Heavy gunnery is fine. I think really it's just really outshined by machine gun camo right now. Number 1, because machine gun camo is 0 CP and heavy gunnery is 2. And number 2, because heavy gunnery costs munitions every time you use it. whereas the camo is currently free. So when you think about like the trade-off, it's just like this is just the obvious choice between the two. The returns are much higher, and they scale much better. I think heavy gunnery, like I said, very strong ability, but I think just pretty dramatically outshined by the machine gun camo at the moment. And sorry, I'll just keep going. Well, since we're here, we'll work our way down the tree. Defend the Fatherland. I think this is probably, like, I think no quarter, generally speaking, is better. Especially, so Tightrope, I'll actually link Tightrope's video in the description because he talks about this in his breakdown of the battle group. But units that are suppressed, as you guys probably know, units that are suppressed have a received accuracy buff. So they're actually harder to hit when they're suppressed. But no quarter synergizes really well with PGs, because if I'm suppressing my opponent with a machine gun and then I close on them with the PGs, the debuff caused by suppression, or sorry, the buff to received accuracy caused by suppression goes away. So what that means in plain English is that normally if a squad is in the open and I'm shooting at it and it's suppressed, it's harder for me to hit with the PG. But if I close the gap and I'm about this distance away, like the minimum distance, which I think is about 10 units or 10 range, now I'm getting full accuracy against the squad. And then you combine that on top with the no quarter passive, which gives an additional 25%, and you're cooking whatever's on the ground in front of you with PGs. Defend the Fatherland, it's less CPs, and really, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of these abilities that are like, they only become valuable when you lose members of your squad. But this is actually, I found this to be very valuable when I'm trying to protect squads that are retreating through friendly territory. So if they're being chased by like an enemy light vehicle or something and I'm at risk of losing the squad, activating Defend the Fatherland can give the squad the damage resistance it needs to get back to base and survive the dive. And so, you know, similarly, again, as long as you're like, if you're at risk of losing a squad and they're retreating through friendly territory, this can be a really valuable ability. And then obviously we like to beeline towards the KT, but in this game we're a little bit late doing that because of our composition. We're pop capped currently, so we can't fit it in there. That's why we started working our way down the left. Good hit there from Rifleman. Actually, it's not 9. Machine gun gets an unfortunate reload, forced away by the grenade. Good smoke from PAX. Great use of smoke in the motors. That's hilarious. He gets the ambush buff, but immediately reloads. Just having really bad luck with the reloading of my machine guns. By the way, guys, don't forget, you can manually reload your machine guns. I just constantly forget to do it.
Territory sector lost.
Coming in on this side, supporting. Mortar gets taken out by his 50 cal there. Forcing away the rifleman with the PGs. Stoss just gonna get away there from the mortar. Don't want to take too much damage from that. Getting a little aggressive here on his 50 cal. See if I can get a lucky shot to finish off. Not quite. Pretty close, but good. Not quite. And again, now, since I'm pop cap, I'm going to be thinking about how I can squeeze another tank in here soon. I'm probably going to leave my mortar, because I have a lot heavier solutions to his machine guns. And actually, good hit in from Sherman. P4 and Rumbar again. This is one of my bad habits. One of my bad habits is I get too invested in what's going on in the field, kind of forget my units in my base. I imagine other players do that too. There we go, able to deter the Sherman push with the PAC P4 combo. Brumbar frontal armor holding up really well. And I'm just going to sit on the CPs I need probably until I can unlock the KT
enemy
at
has
least.
300 points remaining.
And if I end up losing my tanks for whatever reason, then I can just do a quick pivot to call in the
Schützenspaced armor will be applied to panzers. Post haste.
Let's take a look at the economy really quick here. Really comfortable munition income.
Making provisions
Have a
for
lot
officer
less to spend
squatters.
it on because I don't have like bar upgrades for my PGs. I'm just throwing bundle nades on them, which means I can plant a lot more mines and I can save up for my V1.
We have lost control of a victory point.
Oops.
Armored's good
That's
supply.
in here with the
Good hunting.
PGs. Getting invested in this engagement. I smell blood because I see he's overcommitted his 50 cal onto this point. I want to isolate this engagement. Sorry, I missed it a little bit. But I want to isolate this engagement. So I caught him capturing the VP with the 50 cal and the rifleman. So the way that I set up for this engagement, first thing I did was I creeped up my machine gun and put it into yellow cover to get benefits of the ambush bonus. Then I led in with the Stoss. I made sure the Stosstruppen was the first target acquired by the 50 cal. And then I popped Shock Assault, which is going to make me immune to the suppression. Lastly, I'm bringing in the PG on the south flank because I want to set up for a big bundle nade to try to wipe these units. And you can see here I'm actually setting it up to throw on this 50 cal that's running south here. So we actually catch him out. While this is happening, we managed to clear the 50 cal. While this is happening, I'm distracted. I'm focused on this. PAX is focused on this. He catches out my P4 with the double Zook squads. I'm backed into a building right now, so it's actually going to be hard for me to get away. The PAC is unable to cover because he's blocked by a bush. So this is overall like really perfect engagement played by PAX here. Just focus on I'll try to pop the one, but it's too late. Sorry about that one, but it's too late.
Pioneer infantry kill.
Brumbar trying to come in to protect, but just no luck here. Thankfully, we've got the strong frontal Brumbar armor. Oh god, that's a big hit. These troops backing up the colors, just going to continue to dive in on me, getting a lot of really lucky bounces. I'm pulling back my AT gun until I'm in there under the protection of the base MGs. Then I'm going to focus on trying to close the gap and get to my pack.
Commandant, we have surface conditions to spend. Commandant,
trying to keep the frontal armor facing the Sherman.
Sectors are isolated. We have been
Unfortunately,
cut
lost
off.
a PG because I was so focused on this. Another very lucky bounce. Back here in protection radius. He knows the pack is there, backing away. I'm trying to get that last shot. No, not quite. He squeaks his way out. Well done. Pax. A bundle nade here. A bundle nade.
Panzer Field, field ready.
Yeah, so very lucky on my part.
Point is under attack.
Also, I saw him pop that one here, so just retreat. Very, very, very,
Enemy
very
forces have
lucky
claimed our
on
territory.
the frontal armor bounces from the Sherman against the Brumbar there. Just goes to show the need for the Hellcats. And I think Sherman's actually got a near penetration nerf in the last patch. So Brumbar showing its strength there with the armor. And also the skirts. I'm sure the skirts came in clutch here as well. With some deflections.
Victory point is under enemy control.
On the scout. Before focus on the rifleman squad. Machine gun creeping his way up here.
We have territory cut off from supply.
Everything's in base healing, repairing the Brumbar here as well. Again, I went for the P4, I think because I was too pop cap to get to the Tiger. Or maybe I was a little short on resources and I panic built this to try to get it out in time to protect my Brumbar. Either way, we've got another P4. Wow, big hit on there. Big hit from the P4. By the way, P4 got some amazing buffs. Machine guns are buffed. And then the new Vet 1 ability is fantastic. This rate of fire bonus combined with like hull down is horrifying. It's so scary. When this thing is locked down and hauled into a position. So the P4 performing very, very well this patch, and the Vet 1 is preventing a lot of that dive behavior from allied tanks, especially light tanks. It's got a very capable means of protecting itself. So I'm really happy with the P4 buffs. They were not performing at their cost prior to this time. decal.
We have access
See,
to
look at that
advanced
pin.
V1
That pin
rockets
speed
to
is
devastate
quick.
the enemy.
That pin speed is super quick. Finally unlocked by V1. I'm going to look for an opportunity to try and pick up some units here with the V1.
We should spend our
Again,
munitions
you know,
at once.
I'm getting another pack because I'm anticipating that he's going to have a second tank soon. And I know, again, since I don't have Faust and I've only got the 1P4, I'm going to need another unit to help cover my vehicles while they do the heavy lifting and prevent dives on his part. So, I'm trying to get some cheeky mines down, but PAX is actually doing a really good job of spotting them out. And actually, he's attack grounding the mortar on top of where I'm planting the mines.
Anti-tank
You can
gun
see here, actually, PAX
ready
is
for
tech
order.
the 76 millimeters. So, P4, going in here with the soft stricken. I used shock assault to deter him from pushing in. PGs are going to force in here and close the gap as well. Machine gun. Machine gun actually looking like it's in, but the danger of the building is very low. Pushing in here, trying to get out of this building.
V1 strike underway. Brace for impact.
That's right. I used the V1 here. And the hilarious thing is that what I know about PAX is that he plays with music. And so I'm 100% sure that he did not hear me use this. And therefore, you know, I launched it behind him. I forced my way in and tried really hard to encourage him to retreat or to at least back up. And this guy just didn't move. He just didn't move at all. He just he stood and fought. And kudos to him, because if he had retreated, he would have got absolutely nuked. You can see there, the female lands and kills nothing. Oh no, and then we get satcheled by the bazooka squad. It's all falling apart. It's such a disaster. The PAX caught out here. He's on top of, he's chasing in my Brumbar now. Oh my god. Big jukes here from the Brumbar. Woo! Phase through the back of him, that works really well. I'm just trying to back up and get my pack in position. The second one's here to cover him. Rear hits, dealing extra damage, coming in super strong here. Oh my god, that frontal armor. What is that, 360? Oh, then we lose the Vet 3 Brumbar. We actually trade out the Sherman there. Super lucky for me, actually crazy lucky. And now we're kind of back to zero, with both sides fielding only infantry, no tanks on the field. I'm going to be leaning towards the KT at this point. If I can get the fuel to get there, it's just going to be a much better anchor vehicle than anything else. And I'll actually have the population cap for it now that I've lost my Brumbar and my P4. Second pack here. So I'm actually not picking this up deliberately at the moment. Because I'm not sure if I'm to expect another tank or not, but I think I have a second thought there. Just in case. But this, I just want to call this out. Like, you can always leave this here. If you're like, my opponent's not going to have another vehicle anytime soon. And I do this all the time, by the way, with DAC. If you've managed to, like, steal away one of your opponent's AT guns, just cart it back to your base and leave it there, you know? If you're not expecting a vehicle from your opponent anytime soon, don't bother crewing it, because you're going to be eating up population, you're going to be eating up manpower upkeep. So you can just leave it in the base and crew it up when you need it. The same is true of any kind of weapon drop. Vet 3 PGs, very scary on the field. Very capable of dealing with riflemen. Vet 3 PGs. Before that, it's a little bit, they're a little bit iffy, but post, we got a good flank on him, using the Vet 1 ability, accessing also the camo ambush, allows me to pick up the 50 cal there that was exposed on the flank. I'm actually going to walk by it and pick it up with the Pioneer, and the Stoss and the PGs are going to focus on the active engagement here.
Sector now under enemy control.
PGs and Stoss pushing in. We You can see actually PAX here is waiting for access to the Pershing. I am waiting for the KT. And when they're ready, we're going to have
Our territory is
Flash of the
exposed. We must
Titans.
re-establish a connection.
Closing the gap, focusing on the 50 cal here. Good grenade in.
V1 strike
Now,
underway. Brace for
I want to
impact.
call out this V1. So I had the machine guns overlapping. I knew that if he stayed here, he was going to take a lot of damage. So I forced away his 50 cal. I've got a PG on the retreat, which also grants me vision. I know that if he's going to be forced to retreat from this point, he's going to run through here. So this is why I actually cast the V1 rocket strike right here, because I'm expecting that if I can get him not paying attention, or if I can get him to stay suppressed in this area just long enough to get pinned, then he's going to be forced to retreat at some point, and he's going to have to run through the zone where the V1 is going to drop. I am staying well out of it because I don't want to take the damage. And we managed to pick up one of his rifleman squads. That 3 rifleman was pretty big. So good, really good pickup there for me. V1, look at that crater, man. It's terrifying. But Pershing is now on the field, so PAX is going to be looking to pay my bills. If you're from my stream, you know what that means. But he's going to be looking for revenge here, which is Pershing on the field. And I'm just going to have to do my best to use my PAX to deter it while I get this fuel income churning so I can get to my KT. Again, you know, another benefit of the camo, like I'm able to just kind of hide here from the Pershing, but he actually discovers me. I issue
Territory lost.
PAX has also got rapid reposition, which allows these guys to run a lot quicker out of combat, as well as bolster team weapons. Very handy abilities. I'll break these down in a US game that I'll have up this week sometime. I've actually got a great 2v2.
We have lost control of the victory point.
Where I'm playing US. On the new map, Crossing the Woods. Oh, good catch out here with the Pershing. I actually got over-aggressive here with my PAX. I definitely should not have been engaging at this point, considering how close I was to KT. Managed to pick up one of his scout squads there, I think it was. Blew up his his 50 cal with the PG bundle grenade. He does deep through the pack. I'm going to be holding manpower, hopefully. Should be.
B1 rocket primed and ready for
Managed to
launch.
decrew his mortar as well with my Stas. You can see PAX. You know, we're focused on very different positions on the map. I'm focused here. He's focused there. Squeak away here with the pack, but looks like it's not going to happen. No bother. We're going to get Big Daddy on the
A
field
PAC
here.
gun has been knocked out.
Any second now.
Interrogation underway. Intelligence gathered.
Vacuuming up
The
that
enemy
nice
is
XP
striking
on my
at our
stealth squad,
infantry
so I can
company.
get into that 3.
We are losing
Focusing
possession of
on
a capture
planting
point.
mines with my remaining munitions from the squads on the right-hand side. Really nice thing here, since I've teched my officer quarters, I already have access to the Vet 1 on my KT, which means, you know, I'm going to be able to pretty easily duel this Pershing as long as I can keep him facing the front. And eventually I'm going to want to back it up with PAX as well. There's going to be no vehicles in sight for me for the near future because I've got the 50% reduced fuel income from the KT. So I'm going to be eventually leaning into potential PAX.
Commandant, territory sector lost.
This thing's side. By the way, I want to call out some core differences here between the KT and the Tiger while I've got you guys. So the KT, a lot of people have been complaining and saying that the KT is just worse. That's not true. The KT is not worse. Has a higher penetration gun, higher armor values on the front and the sides than the Tiger does. The main drawbacks of the KT obviously are the fuel income debuff. The speed, this thing is slower than the Tiger, and it's actually one of very few vehicles that has a slower reverse speed than a frontal speed, forward speed. Most vehicles have an identical forward and reverse speed, but the KT is one of few vehicles that is actually slower in reverse. And I think it makes sense that they did this because this thing would be pretty difficult to kill if you couldn't get behind it. So, and then again, the Tiger also has an extra 5 range, so it has 45 range, which is a little bit above the average. Most medium tanks have 40 range. The exceptions would be like tank destroyers and the Hellcat. The Hellcat has 45 range. The Tiger also has 45 range, which keep it from being kited, which can be very useful. And the KT does not have that. So how you use this thing most effectively, by the way, other essential difference between the KT and the Tiger, the KT has an AoE radius total of 5, and the Tiger has a 4.5 AoE. So it has a bigger damage profile against infantry. It's going to deal generally more damage against infantry per shot than the Tiger does. So this is an amazing spearhead vehicle because of the health pool, the armored spearhead passive, also access to heavy gunnery. And whether you're playing tier 2 or tier 3, like if you're backing this up with a couple martyrs or a couple PAX, you're not really going to be under any major threats from tanks. And it's going to be really difficult for infantry to close the gap and actually get on top of this thing because they're going to be taking massive sweeping hits from the main gun and the machine guns. And your PGs or Jaegers or whatever you've got, as long as they're in support, are going to be able to mop whatever infantry units up. So this is a spearhead unit, like well and truly. It's not a duelist tank, unlike the Pershing. The Pershing is a duelist tank. This thing is designed to find your heavy tank and pick you off in a 1v1. I'll talk more about the Pershing in the US video that I have coming up. But I just wanted to call out some of the core differences and where I feel like the KT is most, and I actually think it's kind of undervalued. It's possible that it's weaker in like a team game setting because there's more force concentration typically of like AT guns, like team weapons, etc. Tank blobs, you know, you've got multiple players worth of tank blobs that can show up and just crush this thing. But in a 1v1 setting, this thing is incredibly strong. And I've seen lots of builds that go heavy into tier 2 or tier 3 and then just go straight into KT rather than going for tier 4. That's a great option as well. We're just squeaking our way up here. Now that I've got some manpower in the bank, I'm going to be thinking about rebuilding a pack to support my KT. Actually a little bit overextended here. No, oh, sorry, I'm not. The reason I pushed in was because I saw that he had hit one of my mines that I'd planted on the road. By the way, I've mentioned you guys before, roads are excellent places to be planting mines. So you can see I'm trying to drop another one down here. PG, focus on the VPs at this point and just playing defensively. I've got all the machine guns. Actually, I just got one more. And my infantry pretty dramatically outclass his at this point because I've got veterancy and most of his rifles. He's only got one rifle and he doesn't. Waiting for the 50 cal. 50 cal gets the suppression in. PG's gonna close and I'm prepping the bundle nade. He ends up retreating, so I hold it. KG just holding ground in the middle. Start closing the gap on that Pershing. You know, I'm not revealing the KT position until I find myself a favorable engagement. Focusing the frontal armor, making sure that it's angled as much as possible towards the Zoot squads and the Pershing. Good stun attempt. Using the Zoots again, I'm focused, frontal armor is focused on the front here. I've got repairs in here, so I'm pretty comfortable taking this engagement. There we go. PAX on the field, rebuilding the Pioneer that I lost. Infantry is very comfortable taking these engagements.
Pioneers are reporting for duty.
Actually not in cover there. So we're just going to keep the pack here in reserve. And getting a ton of value here out of the ambush camo. Obviously, the extra damage and penetration is going to be critical when I'm doing this. Using the phosphorus grenade to deter the riflemen from pushing in. I'm staying in the green cover here. KT focused on the machine gun, which is dealing the most damage to my infantry. Stealth stripping, I'm just keeping it long range here. Good smoke in from PAX. I'm going to be rotating the machine. I've actually got it, see, I've got it in camo in a crater here.
Victory point lost.
Just going to pull these back a little bit. Oh, that rifle's like really low.
The enemy has claimed our sector.
Try and close on that and kill it with the PG. Not quite. Don't want to lose my vet 3 PG there to the Pershing. Get it. Oh, it's so close. Nice, good supporting shot for the pack. Wipe the engineer. And the KT, obviously, I tried to land an attack round at max range, but I'm not able to chase this thing. This thing's so fast. It's actually very difficult to kill the Pershing unless your opponent misplays pretty dramatically. At least with the KT, because the KT is so slow. Yeah, we're just going to be holding down. You can see I'm staying in the craters here with my machine gun, focusing towards where he's coming from. I'm actually getting my infantry that is relatively low into the building at this point. Using the Jericho trumpet, this is the perfect time because I'm trying to deter him from getting onto the final VP and forcing away. So he's not quite able to close the gap. Final nice bundle made in there on the mortar.
Frontline report. The enemy has 75 points left.
And again, KT is just going to anchor in the middle. We're going to stay near the support of the pack. I've got a P4 in production to add some additional armor to my roster here. You can see, like, the squad's already pinned. I've got that pin retreating the MG. I'm going to bring the other one over. Cover creeping a little bit. PAX in position. KT. Again, like, this is why... this is why you don't run straight at the KT. He's actually very lucky that last shot didn't.
The enemy is down to their last 25 points. Victory point is under enemy control.
42. PG's coming in from the flank. P4. I'm going to try and close the wall with Pershing, but dude, he's got a lot of frontal armor. You can see, like, this is not a fight you want to take. The Pershing, you really need to, like, you need to catch it out, you need to stun it, you get it with a mine, like, this is just not a tank that you want to be brawling with at a range like this. You can see its power here.
We have lost that punch.
Pick that off, and he's out. He's outie, look at that. Easy. Thankfully, though, we've squeaked out the DPs here to the point where he's not going to be able to recover. Quickly using a last defend the fatherland there to close the game out. And there we go. So that's it. Yeah, again, you know, I think this battle group pretty dramatically outshines some of the others right now. Probably one of the strongest option. I actually think, like, the camo MGs are a big part of it. The other thing I want to talk about was the V1 right now. I actually think the audio cue is not loud enough for it. And I'm starting to have the opinion that it might need flares. Because, man, like, there are times where you hear it, but you have absolutely no idea where it's coming because you don't know what your opponent has vision of, and you also don't know who's calling it. So it could be, the fact that it could be anywhere, like, I've had some pretty devastating losses to the V1, albeit, like, cool, you know, I like that there's, like, this big rocket that'll just blow up anything in its radius. That's very cool. But I'm thinking, like, the more that I've seen it, the more that I've used it, the less that I feel like it's super fair. Anyway, that's some insight into my, you know, one of my core builds that I've been using with Terror Battlegroup in 1v1s. I hope this helps. Please ask questions in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. Also, you know, don't hesitate to stop by and say hi in my stream. I love to answer questions there. And obviously seeing me play the game in real time is very different than watching me break down a replay in hindsight. I also, I'm a lot less cool about when I'm actually playing the game because the emotions are high. I'm sure some of you experienced that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Plan is to put together a meta report video for all battle groups once I finish at least one replay review of each of the new ones, highlighting what I think are the best compositions, like the strongest meta, just some examples. And then I will make a video talking through each of the individual battle groups, the strengths, the weaknesses, different strategic options that you can go for. But I want to get some examples in first. And again, just play a lot more of the games so I can pass the info along to you guys on what the strongest things are and some different strategic options. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and catch you guys on the next one.